Next up at UFC 284, we have Jimmy Crute taking on Alonzo Menifield. Jimmy Crute is 12-3 overall, 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off the knockout loss to now champion Jamal Hill. Alonzo Menifield is 13-3 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off the KO win over Misa Cirkunov. These odds surprised me when I first broke down this fight, right? Pay-per-view, you get the odds a little earlier than the normal fight week cadence. I didn't do the full tape study. I saw the names, I saw the pricing, and I was like, Alonzo Menifield hits like a freight train, has very good takedown defense, and Jimmy Crute, bit chinny, and if he can't get the takedowns, Alonzo Menifield's going to put him out. So then I bet a quarter of a unit. I have a quarter of a unit bet on Alonzo Menifield at plus 185. If you break down the tape, you look a little deeper. Yeah, that's the take, man. Jimmy Crute is a good grappler. He does have one-punch knockout power, and he's a good grappler. He even got 3 takedowns in the fight against Anthony Smith where his leg just broke. But frankly, if he can't get these takedowns, Alonzo Menifield is going to put him out. Jimmy Crute can be chinny, and Alonzo is by no means a technical striker. Any technical striker in this division that's got a solid jab will beat and turn Alonzo Menifield's face into hamburger meat. Just touch him up, do whatever they want to do. But that is not Jimmy Crute. Alonzo's going to defend the takedowns, bomb away, and get this done. So I like Alonzo Menifield here in this spot. I'm only betting a quarter of a unit. Same thing I did with Bruno Souza or Bruno Fajeda. Same thing I did with Fugit. I don't like to just, there's an underdog. Here's all my money, right? You know, I'm going to.
You would do that if it was a lock, though.
Plus 185 is almost triple your money. So quarter of a unit on Alonzo. I do think he gets this done. You can see the line is moving. Open plus 195, now plus 170. I think it'll tighten up a bit. But I will say, if Alonzo loses, he's going to look bad. He actually looks bad in wins, frankly. So he's going to look even worse in a loss. But I do think he can get it done. What do you think, Jakey boy?
He's got some monster like calcium buckets there. I will say that. Alonzo, to me, is a guy that I wanted to fade. We talked about it on the live stream during his last fight, and I mentioned this to you as well. We were excited when he won his last fight because we realized this guy is not very good. He's not very technical. He is the Duplessis of the 205 division. He's going to blitz forward. He's going to find knockouts, but when he's finding those knockouts, it is not with good technique. It is chin out there, and this guy can be dropped as well. I mean, he's not like super chinny, but I mean, he was dropped by like an OSP, like little baby jab and finished that way. So he can't get hit and he can't get dropped. So I was waiting and praying for Alonzo Menifield's next fight because I assumed after all these first-round finishes, he looks the part, he showed off his takedown defense his last fight. I assumed no matter who they were going to match him up with, he was going to be the favorite. And I was going to fade the shit out of him. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, underdog. I mean, if Jimmy Crute must be dominating in this fight if he is a 2-1 favorite against the guy as dangerous as Alonzo Menifield. Then I start watching Jimmy Crute, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy sucks. His striking is awful. Like, it is bad. When I watch it, and you guys can see this too, and I've mentioned this before, and I think I even mentioned this in his last fight, like while we were watching this last fight or whatever. It is a high guard, right? I mean, he's looking the part, he's right here with it, but the way he's bouncing and zero head movement, it looks exactly like Ronda Rousey. Even the way he's like throwing strikes, it's like what the hell? Who taught this guy to punch this way? And zero head movement. Anthony Smith, they were talking about on the broadcast how dominant and good the jab of Anthony Smith was. Has anyone ever heard about Anthony Smith having an incredible jab, piston-like jab? No, it's because Jimmy Crute's going like this, bouncing up and down and not moving his head. Anthony Smith's like, okay, boop. Oh, shit, that worked. Oh, shit. And he's just like, oh, shit, how do I avoid this jab? He has no clue in the striking defense. His takedowns are okay, but Alonzo Menifield showed the good takedown defense in his last fight versus Misha. You put 2 and 2 together here, and you got Alonzo Menifield blitzing forward against a guy that doesn't move his head. This should be an easy-peasy, lemon-squeezy Alonzo Menifield win, and I can't believe it because I don't even like the guy. I think he's overrated, but I think he smokes Crute. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't know, man. Jesus. Obviously, if Crute gets a takedown, he's very, very dominant in those positions. But This is bad news, man. This feels like bad news.
Listen, I'm never as extreme as you, but I mean, we're aligned here. The funny part about this is Jacob doesn't know my picks and I don't know his, but we'll talk about certain fights before these. Like most of the time, the reason I get so annoyed is like his stupid eye rolls because I don't know what his picks are, and then he rolls his eyes at me and I Bart Simpson strangle him. Anyway, the other day I was like, dude, Alonzo Menifield beats Jimmy Crute. I'm like, Jimmy Crute sucks. And you're like, dude, me and the whole live stream, we're going to fade Alonzo. Alonzo's terrible.
That's
this, that,
all
the other
I
thing.
talked about.
Then the next day, you're like, oh my God, Alonzo's going to win this fight. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Literally, I couldn't wait to fade this dude. Just like I can't wait to fade. Actually, Duplessis is going to smoke Brunson. But yeah, eventually, I mean, if Alonzo wins this, he might be a big favorite in his next fight, and we'll fade him then. But it'll be eventually.
He's going to do it. He's
literally,
champion.
I don't think he's that
We'll
good.
get him.
I don't think he's that good. But
his striking is sloppy, but it's incredibly powerful. And his takedown defense was beyond just his last fight. He had solid takedown defense in other fights as well. 8,676 in DraftKings. The problem is if you're doing a cash lineup, you don't really want a lot of these feast or famine people in your cash lineup, right? You need winners. You don't necessarily want these giant numbers. But I think Alonzo Menifield is pretty solid because I don't see him getting taken down and submitted instantly. Even if he's taken down, like he's got solid takedown defense. Jimmy's going to have to work for that. And Alonzo Menifield has been to several decisions. He's not like a first round or bust kind of guy. He can fight to a decision. He has cardio. That Ed Herman fight, cardio. The William Knight fight, cardio. He's not, you look at the guy, you assume he's knockout or bust, and he isn't. That's the only reason I'm not doing William Knight by knockout. Well, first, I do my bets.
By knockout, you said.
Sorry, Alonzo Menifield. The reason... well, first of all, I do my bets before the props drop, and then I do additional bets. But I'm going to leave it money line on Alonzo Menifield. There's still a ton of value in that. Yes, if he wins, it is most likely by stoppage, but, you know.
I mean, that dude Crute is just so hittable, man. I mean, it is just even if Alonzo, in my mind, I mean, it's gonna backfire 100%. But in my mind, even if Alonzo Menifield didn't want to knock this dude out in the first round, I think he literally would accidentally knock out Jimmy Crute. That's how hittable Jimmy Crute is. Like just a little shot that it's not like one of those big, he's not expecting to knock out Jimmy Crute. Maybe like a tight little hook or like a little check this or whatever. Jimmy Crute's just so hittable that you might just drop him on accident at that point. By the way, the odds are plus 160 now, so they're moving even more.